Hello, everyone. My name is Sandy Gibson. I'm a professor at the College of New Jersey in the graduate program for counseling, and I also have a harm reduction focused private practice called Crossing Wellness. And I'm here to talk to you today about harm reduction in your use with psychedelic drugs. Every person responds very differently to a psychedelic experience. So if you're new to this, but you know some people who've used it in the past, you can't assume that their experiences are going to be yours. And even more importantly, you can't anticipate that your experience is going to be the same each time you're going to use it. There are a lot of factors that go into what your psychedelic experience will include. That includes your mental state at the time, your personality, the environment that you're in. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So you should avoid taking psychedelics if you're feeling nervous or stressed or depressed. They can amplify the negative effects associated with these kind of feelings. So you'll feel worse, not better. This can lead to really difficult or unpleasant experiences or trips that you can have when you're not in the right mindset for the experience. So you want to make sure that you have flexibility in your use. Don't plan an evening where you're going to use and then use no matter what. If you find yourself not in the right mindset or not in the right environment, it's time to take a second opinion on whether or not that's the right time for you to use. Environments can have the same effect as well. If it's a really high energy, crowded, bright lights, it can have a much more intense experience than if you're in a calm, soothing environment. Very important to keep these factors in mind in making your decision if it is the right time for you to be using. People who have underlying mental health problems, it can also be really challenging to introduce psychedelics during a time when you're struggling with mental health issues. I would recommend only including psychedelics in your life if you're doing them under the care of a psychotherapist in some capacity who's trained to do work with psychedelics and integrate them into your work. That's not the time for you to be trying this on your own. Also, don't drive, don't use heavy machinery, don't engage in risky behaviors after you're using, and don't mix drugs. If you're going to try a psychedelic drug, don't drink at the same time, don't smoke weed with it, don't take other pills, just use the psilocybin. It's important that mixing drugs can be really dangerous, and most of you probably aren't chemists. So we want to relieve ourselves of the opportunity for there to be some kind of drug interaction. It's important to note the vast majority, 90+% of all overdoses occur through the mix of a drug, not a mix of different drugs, not any one single drug together. And always use with someone else, at least one other person. And when you're using with a other person or a group of people, it's important that somebody stay sober. If someone has a bad experience with their use, if something happens and the environment becomes very different, say someone pulls a fire alarm, something you hadn't anticipated, there's an accident. If we don't have a sober person among the group to help manage that situation and calm others who might be under the influence of using, it could turn out very badly for everybody. If you ignore all of those warnings and continue to use alone, then at least let somebody else know that you're doing it and ask them to check in on you. Make sure that you're okay. Psychedelic uses can have great enjoyable experiences for people. Most people who use them don't develop any problems at all. But what you can do is take certain steps to make sure that when you do use, if you do use, and when you do use, that you and the people around you all stay safe.